Are there better systems and better technology? Of course there is. Will I embrace it? I don't know. And quite frankly, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. What I do care about is what am I actually doing? Am I actually following up on my customers? And am I consistently doing the part that I'm supposed to be doing? And could I do it better? Of course I could. And someone forced me to it. I could probably make that happen too.
BJ?
So I was obviously only making light of his 3-ring binder because my system is just the next step up as far as being antiquated. But I basically just type my leads into my notes app on my iPhone and iPad devices, and I think and that's not very sophisticated at all, but I think the important part about it is how you work it. Dave has his system and it works, so I'm making fun of his binder, but Dave's a very productive guy. So I have my little system where I put it in my notes, and the important thing is that that's up on my desk every day, so I'm constantly going back and looking at my leads. I have the date, obviously their name, email address, phone number, the background on that particular client, and then I have follow-up notes from the last time I sent them a letter in the mail, the last time I spoke with them on the phone. And that system, there's more sophisticated systems out there, but that works for me. As far as that's just where I house my leads. But I do the drip email marketing through Constant Contact. I've been doing that for 10 years. And I know that there's other systems out there, but I like to create the content, and I really try to keep my emails brief. When I send them out to my sphere of influence, and a lot of times I'll put, hey, this is a new home ownership opportunity. I don't like to use words like listing and close when I'm sending things out to my sphere of influence. But it takes me about 45 minutes to put that email together. But you can do like the micro analytics from Constant Contact, so you can see who's opening the emails, you can see who's no longer subscribing, you can see who's clicked through to the property address if I have one of those on there, or to whatever link. So Constant Contact works for me as far as my email drip marketing, and just to keep it relevant, I only send them every other month. I don't do it twice a month, every week, because I don't want my clients to be numb and to not pay attention. I think I have a pretty high open rate for those emails. But so for my print marketing, I use My Neighborhood Agent. Have any of you guys ever heard of these programs at all? Okay. So I'm a creature of habit. I've been using My Neighborhood Agent for 10 years, and that's where I put in the addresses for my entire database, and I can create a flyer or a postcard to that sphere of influence in 10 minutes. And that's also worked for me over time. As a broker, I audit files in our office through the Relay system. Have you guys heard of that as well? No? Okay. Well, I audit files that way. So all of our agents have the ability to upload their documents into Relay, or our transaction coordinator does that, and that's how I go through and just to review and check things off. We just invested in a new, it's probably not new to some of you guys, but Back Agent. Have you heard of that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we will now be using Back Agent. It has the same ability as Relay, but it does a little bit more. You can do video training, and we can put our calendar on there. Obviously, you can do the auditing of files, and it does a lot more, and that's kind of really new for our company, but that's how we're going to, do some of the brokerage things on the back end.
Cool. And Liz, how often do you have a system in place where you're touching your sphere of influence, which is your sphere as well as people that you've closed transactions with?
I have a very old-fashioned system of monthly recipe cards that I send through Sensations. I've been doing that since I started. And
you do a recipe?
Every closed sale, I add them to my contact list, and a lot of people keep them forever. A lot of people probably don't look at them, but I do that, as well as send just listed, just sold whenever I can. Wow. I like using Corfact. If you guys don't know that company, when the people get the postcard for the just sold, it says type in this website and see what your property is worth. And when they type in that website, then I'll get an email saying such and such address typed in the website. So then you can send them a card and say, please let me know if you'd like my services. I'm as backward as, I'm even further back probably. If I get a new title rep notepad, then that's my database to-do list. And whatever I don't cross off that day goes onto my list the next day. And sometimes I'll find them in a purse, and sometimes I'll change purse and find them in an old purse. And I'm not great about it, but I just try to keep it all in my head and get it all done. So I know that there's also a better way to do it. But in the mornings, I go to my computer. I try to set all my potential buyers, I do a lot of open houses. I try to set all my potential new buyers up on auto email to see what's out there, and then I'll look and see which ones were checked, and I will email those people or call them in the morning. I also prefer phone calls to emails, so I just try to make sure I make 10 phone calls in the morning and send out a few notes as well.
So I think that I think it's probably refreshing to hear you,
That we're disorganized.
kind of, yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? Everybody in this room is here for the same reason. We got in the business we're attracted to helping people, and we know the potential to make a good living where we can support our families and have a good life. And there's different goals and everything. And, you know, Dave's spot on about wanting to get time off, and I'm definitely getting there myself here rather quickly. But the reality of it is that, you know, there's not one system that works. And if you guys start a system that's too overwhelming and too intimidating, you're not going to do it. You know, you'll go back to your old habits. I, too, carry an old bifold thing full of papers. You know, Cheryl and Wells, it drives them nuts. They go in and they say, you know, well, when are you going to call this person? And the bottom line is, what happens is they're already in my calendar because for some reason I've developed this mind process. I'm very visual, so I'm able to remember what, you know, I can read it. I just remember everything about them and so on and so forth. And that's a gift that I just thankfully have. But what's funny is that if you were to look at the way I do things, you would laugh because it appears just like all these guys to be somewhat disorganized, but it's organized up here. And so, you know, you just have to develop this stuff. And like within our office, we have our own systems that have worked, and we've tried stuff, and we've all put input into what works. And I'm reminded on a daily basis to make, like I said, to make the calls and to do this and to do that and to do what needs to be done. I spend a lot of time on the phone in the car. If you've been, you know, I love cars. If anybody knows me, they know I love cars. And it's like I go and I look at these cars, and my lease is coming up on my car, so I was looking at cars this weekend, and they've got these, you know, 85 speakers, 10,000 kilowatt, mega whatever stereo, and I'm like, yeah, but man, does the Bluetooth work, you know? And because you can't, you know, that is by far the best time to return phone calls because, you know, you're in your car and you're by yourself. No one's going to bother you, and what a great way to touch all of your sellers. You know, during the day, they may or may not be home. You can leave them a voicemail. They know you tried to reach them. You avoided them. It's great, you know. I'm just kidding. But the reality of it is that, you know, you did what you were supposed to do. And for me, it's interesting. I find that when I reach out to these people and when I make the calls, I feel really good. I feel like I really accomplished a task, and it's a simple little task. But you know, when you got to bounce in your step, and you know that if you set out to do 5 things in that day, and you did those 5 things, and you didn't set up 5 things that are just going to overwhelm you, you know, you don't have to break records every day. Every client that you meet, when you're done and it's closed, that should be 3 more deals if you did your job and you did it well. And every one of those transactions leads to 3 more transactions and 3 more transactions and so on and so forth. It's okay to ask for letters of reference, especially if you know you've done a good job and it's been a good situation, which unfortunately they not all are, but it has nothing most times to do with you. It has to do with the other people. The reality of it is that just keep it as simple as you can, and you will find all kinds of success. And people, when you're talking to them, they know if you're after their money, and they'll never use you again. But if they sense that you really do care about them, and they really sense that you're out to do the best thing that you can for them, and there's that bond there, they will be a source of business for you for many, many years to come. So just keep it simple.
You know, and what I've noticed here from talking to all 4, you have 4 very large producers, and they all have different systems, and they all can make fun of what their systems are. But the fact is, they actually all have a system that they're using. So I think the important thing to do is have some sort of system, whether it's a 3-ring binder or it's the iPhone or it's in your head. They're consistently, persistently doing something, which then drives their business forward. To Alex's point of 1 transaction can then lead to 3 new transactions by taking care of the client. Has using some sort of scripts to convert to your buyers increased that conversion rate? Any script that constantly comes out of your head when someone says, I was referred to you by so-and-so, I'm thinking of buying a house?
Well, not exactly, but when I started, I was working under a team with a seasoned realtor who'd been around for a long time and wasn't so into technology. She liked listening to the Mike Ferry tapes, and one in particular, handling objections, I feel really helped me develop my business and feel confident working with clients. So in reading your questions, I made a note to mention that to you guys. If you haven't listened to Handling Objections, it's on YouTube video. It's really helpful because clients' objections are really just questions a lot of times. The more they object to you, the more interested they might be in a property, or they might just want to learn about you. and you're feeling it as an attack and it's not, and that really helped me gain confidence in my business. The other one is mimicking personality types. You know, learning that if a person is very aggressive or soft-spoken, how to act differently with different audiences. It's very important, I think. So those were the two for me.
So I don't use scripts at all. I really try to just focus on rapport building when I'm with the client,
I
and
didn't mean
yeah.
like scripts though, right?
Right, yeah. And, or, you know, just, and I think that comes with time. You learn to handle objections if you've been in the business for a while. And you just kind of hone your interpersonal skills. And it's not, I don't have anything against scripts. I think scripts, they've been around for a long time, spanning numerous industries. And there have been people who've been very successful with them. My partner at Comfort Real Estate, he's big on scripts. We do sales training, and he's, you know, that's like his thing. But I just like to focus on trying to build rapport. I like to ease my way into the transaction and into gaining the client's trust, and mastering that skill, I think, just comes with time. But there have been times where I've wanted a script, you know, where the conversation's kind of veering one way and you want to bring them back, but it's usually when I'm just dealing with a crazy person. So, so I just, you know, I just take a deep breath. We have a pub that's right next door to our office.
Let's take him next door.
Get a shot of whiskey or something to kind of get me through it. But no, I just really try to focus on just gaining their trust by building rapport. And I wish I could be more specific about that. I think you all know what I mean. And I think that comes with time.
You know, is it just me? Obviously, it's not. We're seeing more crazy people lately. You know, like they really are. I mean, really nuts. Not just like, no, we're like,
They're
okay,
nuts.
there's something really wrong. It's like, going, wow, what's about me is attracting these people? Okay,
Right.
so what was I going to say? Oh, I was just coming back to the fact is that I think it's being real. When I was young, my grandfather, who was very successful in farm equipment sales in the Dakotas, he told me that I should go into sales, and I was at least old enough to respond with, no way. He says, why not? He says, because I told him, I don't like salespeople.
Right,
And his response was, then don't act like one.
right.
And he said he became very successful in sales because he would be at Farmer John's farm, and he would, you know, share his equipment, and he'd find out what the guy really needed, and he'd say, you know, what I have is not the best thing for you. Call this other guy, Ed. He has the best product for you, because that's what you need, not what I have to offer. Well, that reputation went everywhere, and he became one of the top sales, and then eventually he created his own manufacturing facility, was very successful. And so I took that to heart, is that when I'm with my customers, is tell them the truth.
Right.
And I tell you, there's something so endearing. It's like, as a customer, my wife